A woman goes to meet an online date for the first time, never expecting the guy to be only 4 feet 3, even needing to stand on his tiptoes to sit on the chair. Before he can even introduce himself, Diane looks like she wants to bolt, and the man keenly catches the change in her expression. To ease the awkward atmosphere, Alexandre cracks a joke about his own height, and the confidence and ease in his words slowly infect Diane like a warm current. His humor and open-mindedness allow her to let down her guard and laugh heartily. But at this moment, Diane would never dream that this man, who is only 4 feet 3, will completely change her life. Diane is a standout in the legal world, possessing not only stunning looks and a bright, transparent personality, but also a slender figure that gives her a natural radiance. Wherever she goes, she is like a passionately blooming light, easily attracting the gaze of those around her. She once fought side by side with her ex-husband Bruno, working together to found the now sizable law firm. This complex relationship, interwoven with love and career, was destined to end in a parting of ways. Although the divorce papers are signed, the problems of life are just beginning to show. Heavy life pressures and complicated daily expenses weigh on Diane's shoulders like 2 invisible mountains, leaving her with no confidence to walk away freely. Helpless, she can only temporarily stay under the roof of Bruno's law firm, hiding her sharp edges and compromising to maintain this awkward coexistence. Right in the midst of this depression and embarrassment, life suddenly welcomes a glimmer of a turn. On this day, Diane drags her exhausted body home when her spare phone suddenly rings and a deep, magnetic male voice flows into her ear. It turns out the man found the phone Diane dropped and clearly describes seeing her lose it in her haste. Gratitude floods Diane's heart like a warm current, but a trace of confusion also quietly rises.
Mais enfin, si vous m'avez vu partir sans mon portable, pourquoi vous m'avez pas juste rattrapé pour me le donner?
Moi j'aurais pu, c'est vrai, mais enfin, qu'est-ce qui serait passé? Je vous aurais donné votre téléphone, vous m'auriez dit merci, vous seriez reparti aussi sec sans même me jeter un regard. Alors que là, quand je vais vous le rendre, j'aurai le droit, disons, à...
But as the conversation deepens, her doubts are quickly melted away by the man's charm. His humor isn't forced, and his gentleness is hidden between the lines. The distance of never having met actually allows Diane to clearly capture the extraordinary temperament in his conversation, and ripples actually stir in the lake of her heart. This heartfelt fondness spreads quietly, so when the other party proposes a meeting, Diane agrees immediately without hesitation. The next day, Diane dresses up carefully. Her already charming figure looks even more radiant with makeup and clothes, and every step reveals an anticipation she can't hide. But when she arrives at the appointed restaurant as agreed, she is frightened by the scene before her. However, she never expected that Alexandre would possess extraordinary emotional intelligence and a naturally humorous soul. Alexandre is a highly recognized architect in the industry, having accumulated significant wealth before the age of 40. Although his career is infinitely glorious, the prejudice and gossip brought by his height have never dissipated. This pressure also led to the separation from his ex-wife, leaving him to raise his son alone. But he has never been crushed by worldly gazes. Instead, he often uses self-deprecating humor to diffuse awkwardness and brings laughter to those around him with his optimism. After learning about Alexandre's past, Diane's opinion of him undergoes a massive transformation.
Qu'est-ce que vous faites après?
J'ai rendez-vous avec un client juste à côté.
Bon, très bien. Vous savez quoi? Vous allez l'appeler puis vous allez annuler. Puis moi, à la place, je vous invite à vivre un truc extraordinaire. Oui, Sébastien, c'est Alexandre. Dis-moi, est-ce qu'on pourrait avoir un avion dans 1 heure?
Diane initially thinks he is boasting, but unexpectedly, he really takes her on a plane, and only then does she realize Alexandre isn't joking at all. The unforgettable experience he mentioned turns out to be thrilling skydiving. The moment Alexandre opens the cabin door without hesitation, Diane feels her legs go weak. She simply can't believe that this man, defined by the world by his height, has the courage to challenge such a thrilling extreme sport. The moment they jump out, their bodies plummet rapidly in the high altitude, and Diane's heartbeat almost bursts through her chest. She looks down at the earth. The familiar scenery becomes incredibly vast, and the magnificent mountains and rivers spread out like a scroll beneath her feet as she feels one with the world. That freedom and pleasure of breaking free from all shackles instantly washes away all fear and depression. This skydiving experience completely reshapes Diane's perception of Alexandre. When they walk side by side in the golden canola flower fields, the excitement and joy in her chest still haven't subsided. This pleasure of breaking free from restraints, interwoven with admiration for the man before her, makes her hesitate no longer. and she actively asks Alexandre for his contact information. In the days that follow, bits and pieces of her time with Alexandre repeatedly surface in Diane's mind. She often smiles foolishly without realizing it. This man, who once made her hesitate because of his height, has quietly become the only source of joy to dispel her gloom. But life never stays in the sweet zone forever. Whenever she argues endlessly with Bruno over work trivia, those joys born from Alexandre are ruthlessly ground down by the sharp edges of reality. Diane's mood instantly falls from the clouds, wrapped in heavy depression and grievance. Looking at Alexandre's contact info on her phone, Diane can't help but dial his number. On the other end of the line, Alexandre's surprise is instantly evident upon hearing her voice. Almost before she can explain her situation, he excitedly issues an invitation and tells her he will take her to a special place. By evening, Alexandre has chosen a hidden high-end restaurant as their date spot. This undisturbed privacy and sense of exclusivity cast a romantic filter over their time together, adding a unique emotional tone to the date. At the dinner table, Alexandre's gift for humor becomes even more dazzling. A few witty teases make Diane smile like a flower, her eyes and brows soaked in unconcealable joy. They casually share interesting anecdotes from life. She occasionally makes a playful face, and he immediately responds with hearty laughter. Fragmented laughter floods the dining table, wrapping the entire meal in a layer of warm and relaxed sweetness. Compared to the restraint and awkwardness of their first meeting, Diane's eyes are now filled with undisguised appreciation and joy. In this relaxed and sweet atmosphere, Alexandre quietly walks into the bottom of her heart. After dinner, Alexandre drives Diane home, and the quiet night becomes the gentlest catalyst for their feelings. Facing the expectation in his eyes, Diane says nothing, just leans forward and resolutely offers a kiss. This kiss strips away all probing and restraint, clearly confirming their feelings for each other. That day, Alexandre asks Diane out again, and their intimacy in the car happens to be fully taken in by Bruno at the street corner. But when his gaze sweeps over Alexandre sitting in the driver's seat, his shock instantly solidifies into disdainful confusion. This time, the date location is chosen at a dance hall owned by Alexandre's friend. Under the warm yellow lights, Alexandre encircles Diane's waist, and Diane naturally rests her hand on his shoulder. Although Alexandre's face always wears his signature optimistic smile, looking around at the guests with tall postures, his 4'3" figure stands out exceptionally in the crowd. This contrast with his surroundings still lets a trace of imperceptible uneasiness flit across his eyes, making him worry he will become the focus of whispers. But when his eyes collide with Diane's, seeing her body stretch with the melody, eyes smiling and curved, totally devoid of embarrassment, the shackles in his heart instantly loosen. So he simply throws away his concerns, stepping with exaggerated and agile dance moves in front of her, his comical posture making Diane bloom with joy. Laughter mixes with music, flooding the entire dance floor. The lights are dim as honey, kneading the surrounding noise into a blurry background, leaving only the smiles in their eyes exceptionally clear. At this moment, no approval from others is needed. They are the brightest light, illuminating each other's world. After the dance, Alexandre drives Diane home, and the car finally stops at a quiet T-junction late at night. They look at each other and smile, the affection in their eyes needing no words to clarify, with only the car lights carving a gentle arc on the silent road. The car finally turns left, carrying satisfied hearts on the journey home. The next morning, when Diane wakes up with the first ray of sunshine, Alexandre has already prepared breakfast. But when Diane is putting on makeup in front of the mirror, her toe catches off guard and kicks the step stool under the vanity. Her hand holding the eyebrow pencil pauses abruptly, and the sweetness just rising in her heart is instantly replaced by hesitation. That feeling of withdrawal she doesn't want to admit quietly spreads. She knows this is inferiority planted by worldly views acting up in the name of self-esteem. Back at the law firm, her assistant Coralie walks over with coffee and can't help but curiously pursue the relationship between Diane and Alexandre. Diane's fingers tighten abruptly, and without any hesitation, she blurts out that they are just friends. The moment the words fall, she looks away. That eager posture to clear things up hides the cowardice she doesn't want to admit, and even more so, the avoidance of her boyfriend's height that she finds hard to mention. Later, Diane goes to Bruno's office to discuss work details, but Bruno leans back in his chair and calls her Snow White with a faint smile, darkly mocking her relationship with the dwarf-like Alexandre. Although she dares not openly admit the romance in public, Diane protects Alexandre very tightly. To make up for this debt, Diane takes her feelings and goes to pick out clothes for Alexandre. But she runs through all the men's clothing stores downtown but can't find a size that fits his frame. Finally, with some embarrassment, she walks into a corner children's clothing store. The female owner mistakes her for buying clothes for her son and smilingly recommends the same sweater her own son is wearing. Diane's heart is filled with mixed flavors. She clearly feels from the bottom of her heart that Alexandre's height has never been an obstacle between them. But reality always throws cold water on her inadvertently, reminding her again and again that the worldly gap they have to cross is far wider than imagined. At dinner, when Alexandre opens the sweater gift box and his fingertips touch the soft knit, his eyes suddenly turn red. He can't remember how long it's been since he received a gift. The strong shell forged over years of disdainful gazes quietly cracks a seam at this moment. He is used to covering embarrassment with humor and fighting prejudice with composure, but he never thought a simple warmth could turn all the accumulated grievances and loneliness in his heart into burning emotion. He truly feels the warmth in the sweater, but the dodging in Diane's eyes is like a fine thorn stuck in his heart. She has never actively offered to introduce him to colleagues and friends. This deliberate blank space mixes his full joy with lingering confusion. When Alexandre softly voices this doubt, Diane's eyes panic and avoid his gaze. After a long silence, she vaguely reveals to Alexandre that since her divorce, she has been exhausted dealing with life and has gradually lost touch with many friends. Now, her social circle is long gone from its former liveliness, and she is almost solitary. Changing the subject, Diane actively throws out a proposal, her eyes hiding a bit of probing. She says she can take him to meet her parents. As soon as the words fall, the confusion in Alexandre's eyes is instantly lit up, replaced by unconcealable joy and anticipation. On the day of meeting the parents, Diane forces enthusiasm as she leads Alexandre to her mother. But when her mother sees Alexandre, her brows furrow fiercely. The disgust in her eyes almost spills over, too lazy to even fake a polite smile. At the dinner table, she completely ignores the looks Diane sends her and starts a topic on her own. Her words circle around height, and those deliberately amplified tones and subtle phrasings are like blunt knives, repeatedly cutting at Alexandre's self-esteem, making the atmosphere at the table stagnant and embarrassing. Not only that, but the surrounding guests also constantly cast strange glances. The dinner finally breaks up, and this unconcealable looseness is all seen by Alexandre beside her. He has long forged a keen perception under the scrutiny of the world. The waves in Diane's heart, no matter how deep they are hidden, cannot escape his eyes. Looking at the unconcealable disappointment in Alexandre's eyes, all excuses seem pale and weak. She can only offer a kiss, using clumsy intimacy to soothe his stung pride. She herself is still a mess in the eyes of the world. The cowardice in her heart and her cherishing of him are constantly pulling back and forth. The next day, Alexandre specially comes to Diane's law firm to visit her. They are whispering and laughing in the office, and the smile hasn't even faded from Diane's face when Bruno barges in without warning. Just then, Coralie walks in inappropriately with a glass of water and hands it to Alexandre. Then she switches to a soft tone, like coaxing a child, handing him a straw, by the way. That manner of treating him not as an adult at all instantly solidifies the already tense air. Seeing this, Diane quickly takes Bruno to the empty room next door. But as soon as the door closes, Bruno's cold words smash over like ice shards, every word carrying sharp thorns of sarcasm. Diane responds with wit and sharpness. But that night, while watching a movie with Alexandre, her tight brows and vacant eyes expose the irritation and guilt suppressing her heart. Even the light from the screen can't warm the gloom on her face, and Alexandre sees it all. The next day, Alexandre actively finds Bruno. Without hysterical anger, his tone is calm, but carries unquestionable firmness. He warns Bruno to stay away from Diane, or he won't be polite anymore. Bruno, already holding a grudge against Alexandre, has his anger ignited instantly upon seeing the provocation and decides to teach this little man a lesson. A confrontation about dignity is triggered on the street, but after onlookers see the situation clearly, they start heckling. The rising and falling accusations are like invisible slaps, making Bruno's face flush red, and he can only leave resentfully in embarrassment. Unexpectedly, just around the next corner, Alexandre caught up. He sincerely expressed his willingness to reconcile. Alexandre's magnanimity in disregarding past grievances completely threw Bruno off. This reconciliation is like a key, completely unlocking the grudge in Bruno's heart. Not only does he stop pestering Diane, but the provocation in his eyes when looking at her also lessens. Diane sees all this. The loosening of this relationship is entirely the result of Alexandre trading his magnanimity. However, the gears of fate always love to create unexpected waves. On a warm afternoon, Alexandre is walking by the sea with her, wearing that child's sweater Diane gave him. Just as he turns to buy ice cream, Diane unexpectedly encounters that children's clothing store owner. The owner greets her warmly and asks if the sweater she bought for her son fits. This unintentional question is like a stone thrown into a calm lake, instantly freezing Diane in place. Just then, Alexandre walks over after buying ice cream. When his gaze sweeps over the little boy next to the owner wearing the same sweater, and then falls on the sweater on himself, the smile on his face freezes instantly, and the light in his eyes dims bit by bit. This child's sweater, hiding Diane's complex feelings, becomes the sharpest reminder at this moment and the last straw that breaks their relationship. Back home, Alexandre offers no blame, instead empathizing with Diane's situation. When with him, she has to face strange looks and harsh sarcasm from the outside world, as well as rejection and misunderstanding from close family. He understands this awkwardness and unease hidden in daily life better than anyone. At this moment, the struggle in Alexandre's heart finally has an answer. He makes the difficult decision to let go, not because he doesn't love her, but because he understands too well the shackles this love brings to Diane. He gradually realizes that perhaps it's not that Diane isn't right for him, but that he shouldn't be that heavy burden she has to carry against the world. This time, Diane doesn't respond with a kiss like before, nor even a word of defense choking in her throat. She just turns and leaves, step by heavy step, in the weight of silence, her back written with embarrassment and reluctance. Outside the window, rain pours down, uncontrollable like the emotions surging in their hearts. She had encouraged herself countless times in her heart, but when those cold insults turned into giant gazes and sharp words, she became like a deflated ball. Her previous determination collapsed instantly, and ultimately, she became a deserter who retreated before battle. Alexandre stands dazed in front of the window. He thought love could withstand all storms, and that vows were not empty talk. But the edges of reality finally cut this burning thought into pieces. He suddenly understands that loving someone might not just be walking side by side, but should be knowing when to let go. When one's existence becomes the heaviest burden for the other to fight against the world, this love, no matter how deep, inevitably becomes bitter. That day, Alexandre asks his son how he views his height. Hearing this, the son thinks for a moment, his tone calm but exceptionally certain. Although people often mocked him for his father's height when he was young, his father never cared about those gossips, and he gradually learned to face it calmly. His son's words are like a ray of warm light, but they also poke Alexandre's soft spot. Others only say he is optimistic and open-minded, but only he knows clearly the forbearance and bitterness behind that not caring. Days slip by in a daze, and a lingering haze always shrouds Diane's face after leaving Alexandre. She gradually wakes up. Although the ridicule and pointing from the outside world have dissipated, gone with them are the steadiness and joy Alexandre once brought her. Weighing the two, the gossip of others is just passing clouds. That pure happiness that allowed her to let down her guard is the treasure she should hold tightest. She pours out her regret and depression to Coralie, but unexpectedly, Coralie offers no warm comfort, instead piercing her avoidance straight to the point. All of this is simply her own doing. There is no absolute tall or small in this world. Some people have towering bodies but souls humble as dust, ultimately failing to win true respect. While some people, even with petite figures, attract others to stop and admire with their souls shining like bright gems. But love is a pure and holy emotion. How can it be bound by such a trivial label as height? Coralie's words wake Diane up like thunder. The fog in her heart instantly disperses, and the cowardice and hesitation caused by worldly eyes melt completely, leaving only the determination to chase back true love. She resolves to confess her feelings to Alexandre, and the way she chooses to win him back is just like when she was moved by him initially, full of desperate courage and a romance unique to her. She resolutely boards that skydiving plane that witnessed her heartbeat again, this time not moved by Alexandre's courage, but to declare with equal boldness that she has long conquered her inner cowardice and external prejudice. When the plane circles over the skyscraper Alexandre designed himself, the building below stands tall and upright, like his soul. Diane takes a deep breath and jumps out of the cabin without hesitation. She opens her eyes, letting the strong wind tear at the corners of her clothes and pour into her eardrums. All cowardice and hesitation are blown away. Only one burning belief remains in her heart: to catch up with the person who makes her willing to cross everything and to chase back her own happiness. Alexandre reads the courage behind Diane's leap, and even more so the sincere heart that crosses everything.
C'est parce que je voulais te montrer que j'avais plus peur. Ce que je voulais dire, c'est que je t'aime. Je t'aime, petit homme. T'auras mal au cou. J'aurai mal au dos. Ben, on souffrira ensemble. Tant pis, on s'en fout.
At this moment, he is completely sure he wants to spend the rest of his life with this woman who came running for him. When Diane first saw Alexandre, that shock written on her face might be the instinctive reaction of each of us when facing unmet expectations. We always preset too many rulers in love: height, appearance, career, family background. These standards, disciplined by society, are like invisible frames, making us set up defenses before meeting a true heart. But the most moving part of Up for Love is using a love that transcends height to tear these worldly labels to shreds, letting us see the true appearance of soul resonance. Alexandre never fell into inferiority because of his height. He used humor to dissolve the awkwardness of the first meeting, used the adventure of skydiving to interpret courage, and used his unique taste in life to open Diane's horizons. His tallness was never in his body, but in that magnanimity of accepting himself and his rich, interesting soul. Just like those labeled imperfect in life, they might not fit the public aesthetic, but they live as their own sun with sincerity and passion. And Diane's struggle resonates even more. She was clearly intoxicated by the joy of this relationship, yet retreated step by step under her mother's questioning, Bruno's mockery, and the strange looks of passers-by. This tangle of wanting to love but daring not to is the daily life of every one of us. To cater to others' evaluations, we have given up the lifestyle we like. To meet worldly expectations, we have hidden our true self-choices. Hesitating and wandering within worldly rulers, we forget that the most precious thing in love has never been a match of social status, but the warmth of soul compatibility. It never cares about physical height, only about the depth of the heart.